November was a good month for sure. Not only was it the second Criterion sale of the year, but also Black Friday. And while the Black Friday deals weren't the best, I personally think this might be one of my best monthly hauls yet. So let's jump into some Criterions I grabbed from the Barnes & Noble sale. This sale I wanted to grab some of Wes Anderson's stuff. He's a director that I really enjoy his style and sense of humor, but mainly have just seen his more recent stuff. But the highest on my watch list was the Darjeeling Limited, and it didn't let down. The film was about three brothers traveling across India on a train, the Darjeeling Limited, in an attempt to reconnect with each other. The three brothers are played by Owen Wilson, Adrian Brady, and Jason Schwartzman, your typical Anderson players, and they're all fantastic here. No one is really the standout because they're all kind of great. Visually, I always thought Anderson had a beautiful visual style, very colorful and symmetrical, with great attention to detail in his props, and this film is no different. The Criterion release comes with the short film Hotel Chevalier, probably pronouncing that wrong, which I would recommend watching before the film because it's kind of a companion piece, and it's only like 7 minutes. Audio commentary with Jason Schwartzman and Roman Coppola, behind the scenes documentary, discussion between Anderson and James Ivory on the music, Anderson's American Express commercial, on-set footage, audition footage, deleted and alternate scenes, a stills gallery, original theatrical trailer, video essay by Matt Zoller Seitz, and a booklet featuring an essay by film critic Richard Brody. Overall, this is a really enjoyable film that I would highly recommend. Another film high up on my Anderson watch list was The Life Aquatic with Steve Zissou. I love Bill Murray and he's really great here. The film is about an expedition team making a film about trying to get revenge on a shark, and it's a lot of fun. The film also stars Owen Wilson, Cate Blanchett, Angelica Houston, and an outstanding performance by Willem Dafoe. I just love how they blend this film with fantastical stop animation. It's not as jarring as you would think, but it actually fits the film really well. Anderson's visual style is really good here as well, as it always is, and the entire cast brings their A game. I've heard from some that this is one of Anderson's weaker films, and if that's true, I really need to see his remaining films because I loved this one. I'm not sure if I'd say that this is better than Darjeeling Limited or not, but to me they seem pretty on the same scale. The Criterion release does come with audio commentary from Anderson and Noah Baumbach, a behind-the-scenes documentary, interviews with Anderson and Baumbach, interview with composer Mark Mothersbaugh, Sue Jorg, I'm probably pronouncing the name wrong, performing David Bowie's songs in Portuguese, intern video journal by Matthew Gray Gubler, interviews with cast and crew, deleted scenes, stills gallery, trailer, and a conversation between Wes Anderson and his brother Eric Chase Anderson in the booklet. Speaking of Noah Baumbach, I picked up Marriage Story. I'm glad to see some of these Netflix original films getting a physical release. There's a lot more Netflix originals I'd love to see get a release as well, but it's cool Criterion's picked up something like Marriage Story because it's a great film. Adam Driver and Scarlett Johansson tear this film apart, giving incredibly powerful performances, and that's all really this film is. It's a vehicle for performances. The film follows a very honest depiction of divorce and gives you an honest side to both stories. To me, this film is best when you just let the actors dig into the characters. The Criterion release comes with interviews with Baumbach, Adam Driver, Scarlett Johansson, Laura Dern, Alan Alda, Julie Haggerty, and Ray Liotta. Behind the scenes featuring interviews with Jennifer Lame, production designer Jade Healy, costume designer Mark Bridges, and producer David Heyman. The making of interview with composer Randy Newman and Noah Baumbach. Inside the box, a digipack style, you get a booklet with an essay by Lynn Ullman. But what's really cool is that in the film, the main characters write these letters about each other, about what they like about each other, and the Criterion release comes with copies of those of each one, so that's really cool. Overall, this is a great film with outstanding performances that I would highly recommend. Support physical release so we can get more Netflix physicals. Another Netflix Criterion release is Roma. I actually didn't get this one from Barnes & Noble, but off of Amazon when it was on sale for $16. This is one that I personally didn't care too much for the first time I watched it, but I've always wanted to rewatch it because maybe I just wasn't in the right mood when I watched it the first time. On a technical scale, this film is incredibly masterfully made, visually stunning and well edited, but I just couldn't get invested into the story. Because of the strong points that it has technically, I've always wanted to revisit it and just haven't got around to it yet. When I saw it was for a great price on Amazon, I just went ahead and jumped on it, so at some point I will rewatch it. The Criterion release does come with a documentary of the making of, snapshots from the set, documentaries about the sound production and post-production processes, documentary on the film's theatrical campaign and social impact in Mexico, trailers, and this massive booklet featuring many essays and production stills. This is a pretty cool release, and hopefully I'll get to rewatch this one sometime soon. I grabbed Lars von Trier's Breaking the Waves because I came across it without the spider wrap. Spider wrap are those annoying metal wire anti-theft devices stores put on products. The problem is they completely destroy any cardstock box like Breaking the Waves has. Barnes & Noble, please stop using them. The only people who will buy Criterions will not buy damaged ones. Anyways, I've always really liked Lars von Trier as a director, but I haven't seen much of his work before Antichrist, so I've always wanted to dive into some of his back catalog. So I'm excited to watch this one at some point. I didn't quite get around to it before the update, but I am excited. The Blu-ray DVD combo pack does come with audio commentary tracks with Von Trier, editor Anders Refn, and location scout Anthony Dodd Mantle. Interviews with Stig Borkman, Emily Watson, Stellan Skarsgård, and Adrian Rollins. Audition tapes, extended and deleted scenes, the Cannes Film Festival promotional clip, trailer, and a booklet featuring an essay by David Sturrett. And in that booklet, an excerpt from the book Trier on Von Trier. Watership Down has been one of those movies I've picked up and put down and picked up and put down the last couple Criterion sales, and I finally grabbed it this time. It's a movie that's been on my watch list for a really long time, and after watching it, who is this for? It's got some really brutal and horrific moments that if I watched this as a kid, it would have scarred me. I heard about this film from disturbing lists and childhood trauma lists, so it makes sense, but even knowing that going into it, it was still pretty horrific at some moments. I did really enjoy this one though. The animation is beautiful and they blend different styles together really well. The voice acting is pretty good overall. I don't really have many negative things to say about this one. It wasn't a movie that I was completely floored with either, but I did rather enjoy it and I could see myself rewatching it again. The Criterion release comes with interviews with Martin Rosen and Guillermo del Toro, storyboards for the entire film, a featurette about the film's aesthetic, and a booklet featuring an essay by Gerard Jones. I'm glad I finally got around to grabbing this one. It's pure nightmare fuel. Just about every Criterion sale I try to grab one or two Akira Kurosawa films, so this time around I grabbed Kagemusha. I was going to grab Dreams as well, but it had a damaged case and I couldn't find another copy in store. Kagemusha was a Akira Kurosawa film that George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola helped produce. It's a 3-hour epic, and because of that I just haven't had time to get around to watch it yet before this update. I have a couple other Akira Kurosawa films I haven't got around to watching since I bought them, so I don't know, maybe I'll make a marathon of them or something. That'd be kind of fun. The Criterion does come with an audio commentary track by Stephen Price, interviews with George Lucas and Francis Ford Coppola, a 44-minute video reconstructing Kagemusha through Kurosawa's painting and sketches, Suntory whiskey commercials made on the set of Kagemusha, gallery of storyboards painted by Kurosawa, trailers, and a booklet featuring an essay by Peter Grilli, and an interview with Kurosawa. Kurosawa is one of my all-time favorite directors, and so I'm really excited to see this one at some point. War of the Worlds is the last of the Criterions for this month. I grabbed this one off of Amazon, not Barnes & Noble, for their buy two get one free Black Friday deals. I was in the mood for some classic sci-fi this month, and I have never seen the original War of the Worlds, only the Spielberg Tom Cruise remake. I enjoyed this one overall. I personally really loved the effects of the spacecraft and the use of miniatures throughout the film, and while I thought the film was fun, it did feel like there's a little bit of downtime though. I was personally never a fan of the Spielberg remake's ending, and I feel the same here because it's the same ending. I don't like the ending to these films. The release does come with audio commentary by Joe Dante, Bob Burns, and Bill Warren, a visual and sound effects featurette, a featurette on restoration of the film, interview with George Powell from 1970, a 2005 documentary about the making of, the Mercury Theater radio play of War of the Worlds, trailer, and a booklet featuring an essay by Jay Hoberman. I found Takashi Miike's Dead or Alive trilogy at Barnes & Noble while hunting Criterions, and thankfully it was half off as well. This is a trilogy I've wanted to see for a while. I really love Miike as a director, and it's pretty awesome. Now to me, the first film is by far the best one here. It's a very wild and over-the-top crime mobster flick that's a lot of fun. Basically, a turf war breaks out and the two leads are caught in the middle. It builds some really fun and violent set pieces, and overall it's kind of just a blast. Dead or Alive 2 Birds is a much different film. It has the same leads for the first one. They play rival assassins that used to be friends, and while there's some really bizarre moments, it's a much slower film that feels totally different than the first. And then Dead or Alive Final, the capper to the trilogy, I didn't really like that much. It's set in the future with cyborgs and cyberpunk gangs, and to me it just wasn't as interesting. It never felt as wild or as fun as the other two. Also, the transfer's pretty terrible. It looks like a web rip with burned in Japanese subtitles subtitles. Whenever someone isn't speaking Japanese, the burn-in titles pop up, and it's really annoying. And honestly, I expected a lot more from Arrow. The other two films look great, but the third one, I don't know what happened here. Maybe that's the only copy that's available, I don't know. It's really weird. Overall though, this is a really awesome set that comes with a ton of special features, like a bunch of interviews, commentary track from Tom Mez, making of featurettes, original theatrical trailers, and reversible artwork sleeve. If you're a fan of Takashi Miike or kind of like the gonzo Japanese wackadoo kind of movies, then I would recommend them because they're a lot of fun. In my kick to get some older sci-fi flicks, I jumped on The Last Starfighter during Amazon's buy two get one free sale. I've never watched it and still haven't gotten around to watching it, but I do want to watch it sometime here soon. I've heard some good things, and it's one of those sci-fi classics that's kind of been on my watch list for a little while. With the Arrow version, you get some audio commentary from Lance Guest, Jackson Guest, Mike White, director Nick Castle, and Rob Cobb, a revisiting The Last Starfighter featurette, interviews with Catherine Mary Stewart, Craig Safon, Jonathan Butel, Kevin Pike, Greg Bear, and Estelle Vance, archive footage, a 4-part documentary making of, theatrical and teaser trailers, and an image gallery along with reversible artwork, a double-sided poster, and booklet. This is a pretty jam-packed release, and I'm excited to get around to watching it at some point. Another one of the 2-for-1 buy was the Kino Lorber release of High Plains Drifter. This is a Clint Eastwood film that's been on my watch list forever. My cousins always recommended it to me, and after watching it, I've actually seen this before. I must have forgotten the name or confused it with another one of Eastwood's films, but either way, it's a pretty good film. It's about Eastwood's character strolling into town and taking it over, forcing them to face their problems, and it's a pretty solid western with some great visual moments and score. It feels very much like a spaghetti western, so if you like those kind of things, I would recommend this for sure. The release comes with some audio commentary from Alex Cox, interviews with Mariana Hill, Mitchell Ryan, and William McConnell, vintage High Plains Drifter promo, trailers from hell with Josh Olson and Edgar Wright, poster and image gallery, TV spot, radio spot, 2 theatrical trailers, along with some nice reversible artwork. A few months ago, I finally jumped into some Dario Argento, and when I saw Suspiria as part of the 2-for-1 sale, I had to jump on it. I really loved the remake, but I have never seen the original, and after watching it, wow, these are 2 completely different films on almost every level. The story is kind of the same. It's about a ballet dancer going to a dancing school boarding house and some weird stuff happens. The film though is beautifully shot, not to say the other one isn't, but the main difference here when it comes to like kind of tonal imagery is the use of color here. The remake is kind of dull in colors. This movie is bright and vibrant and gorgeous looking. I love the use of color throughout this film. I'm not sure if I like this one more than Cat o' Nine Tails, because I really enjoyed the story to Cat o' Nine Tails, but I really enjoyed this one as well. The score is outstanding. The release from Synapse comes with 2 audio commentaries by Derek Botello, David Del Valle, and Troy Howarth, a 30-minute visual essay by Michael McKenzie, a featurette on the locations in Germany used in the film, a featurette on the 40 years of Suspiria, an interview with Barbara Magnolfini, probably pronouncing names wrong, I apologize, original theatrical trailer, TV spots, and radio spots, alternate English opening and closing credits, and reversible artwork. I really enjoyed this one, and I still need to pick up the remake at some point. On my venture to scratch my sci-fi itch was Them from 1954. This is a movie I've wanted to see for a while, and after watching it, I had a blast. Going into this month, I got a lot of awesome stuff, and I wasn't sure what I'd pick for my pick of the month, but you know what? This is the pick of the month! This is just such a fun film with some really awesome effects that hold up today considering the time. It's a great looking film. It's a film basically about a bunch of giant ants attacking people, and that's all it really needs to be. It's a simple story with well developed characters and some awesome visuals. The flamethrower cave scene is awesome. It still looks great. It's a really awesome set piece. For special features, this one's a little light in the loafers compared to some of the other films that I could have picked for pick of the month, but the transfer looks great here, and it does come with behind the scenes archival footage of the giant ants and theatrical trailer, but it's just such a fun film that feels truly timeless and classic. Forbidden Planet was the film that kind of kicked off my desire to indulge in sci-fi this month. It's a film that's been higher up on my watch list, and after watching it, it's pretty good. It wasn't as great as I was hoping for, but it's a pretty solid film overall. First off, Robbie the Robot is life. I loved Robbie every time he was on screen. Outside of that, the set designs and visual effects are pretty fun, and the performances are pretty good, but the story definitely had some pacing issues in my opinion, and some moments that seemed to really drag on. For special features, we have some deleted scenes and lost footage, Robbie the Robot follow-ups, feature film The Invisible Boy, and the Thin Man TV series episode Robot Client, TCM original documentary Watch the Skies, featurettes on Exploring Forbidden Planet and Robbie the Robot, excerpts from MGM Parade TV series, and theatrical trailers on Forbidden Planet and The Invisible Boy. I haven't watched The Invisible Boy yet, but I'll definitely add it to the box. Talk about another film that's been on my watch list forever now. I was glad to see Citizen Kane as a part of the 2-for-1 sale. I've been really wanting to watch this before I watched the new David Fincher film Mank, and Citizen Kane really is a masterpiece. On a technical scale, it's a marvel of filmmaking that feels truly timeless. It's beautifully shot with great set design and outstanding performances. The film follows the life of Kane through building his empire and wealth and the people around him. It's a super ambitious film for the early 40s, and while I see how incredibly well made it is, I wasn't that invested into the story. It's hard for me to tell you how I feel about the film because I don't really have any complaints, but as the film went on, I never really got bored, but I never really got invested either. I can see all the great things the film is doing, but I just never felt connected to it. I would like to rewatch it at some point because maybe it was just the headspace I was in that day, but either way, it comes with commentaries from Roger Ebert and Peter Bogdanovich, interviews with Ruth Warwick and Robert Wise, featurette on the world of Citizen Kane, and still photography with commentary by Ebert. I decided to finish out the Avengers since they were on sale for $10 each. I already had the Avengers and Endgame, so I grabbed Age of Ultron. I don't have a bunch of the MCU, but I would like to collect them all, and honestly, Age of Ultron is one of my least favorite from the MCU. To me, this is just a very weak film, and Ultron felt very rushed as a villain. Looking back to the MCU, to me, this is a film that's been massively overshadowed by other releases. As for extras, you do get a making of featurette of the most powerful objects in the MCU, featurette on the location scouting, deleted and extended scenes, a gag reel, and commentary from Joss Whedon. Now on to one of my favorite films in the MCU, Infinity War. This was such a great centerpiece to the MCU with a really well developed villain and some massive stakes. It feels like a truly epic movie, and honestly to me, this would have been an amazing ending to a long investment. With special features, we get an intro from Joe and Anthony Russo, a featurette on the creative decisions in the MCU, a featurette on Thanos, Beyond the Battle of Wakanda and Titan, gag reel, deleted scenes, and audio commentary from Joe and Anthony Russo, Christopher Marcus, and Stephen McFeely. This is one I wouldn't mind rewatching at some point. Walmart for Black Friday had some Pixar stuff on sale for 10 apiece, and while I wasn't able to find some of them that I really wanted, I did find Monsters Inc., which is one of my favorite Pixar films. Just the idea of monsters scaring children for energy collecting is hilarious on its own. The humor sticks every time, and it blends childish humor with adult humor very well. The characters are extremely well written and designed, and overall, this is just a classic animation. We get a couple of short films with this, including Partisori Rex, a Toy Story short, For the Birds short, Filmmakers Roundtable, audio commentary tracks, Mike's New Car short film, Roz's 100 Door Challenge, featurette on Pixar and Banished Concepts, and I'm glad to finally add this one to the collection. I also grabbed Rataouille because I've been wanting to rewatch this one for a while. I watched this one back around when it first came out, and I remember not caring as much for it as some of the other Pixar movies, and after rewatching it, I enjoyed it a lot more. Personally, I think this is a much more of an adult audience film because it's a very patient and mature film at times with beautiful animation. Yes, there are some childish things, but it does feel like it's more for an older audience, and I did appreciate it a lot more as an adult. Much like every Pixar, we get a handful of short films, Your Friend the Rat and Lifted, along with some deleted scenes, Gusteau's Gourmet Game, and a behind the scenes. In this month's horror pack, which my big horror pack video is up, so you guys should go check that out, came with Dead Ant. This is a really fun flick about a hair metal band traveling to a music fest when they're attacked by giant ants. Now I'm not going to go super deep into this one since I covered it pretty well in the horror pack, so you can just check that out. Another horror pack ad is The Conjuring, which is pretty cool since we got Annabelle in the first pack. The Conjuring is one a lot of people consider a modern classic, but I'm not the biggest fan of this one. I mean, it's pretty okay, but it's nothing special in my opinion. Again, I covered this one in the horror pack video, so check that out. The horror pack exclusive for November was Bloodline, and this isn't really a good movie. It's basically a stereotypical cabin in the woods horror film that feels like it kind of bends its own rules. It's a low budget film that doesn't feel as low budget as Betsy, but if you want to hear my opinions on this one, then check out that horror pack video. I think I've shamelessly promoted my own video enough for the horror pack, but once again, Flatliners is a part of that horror pack, so it's in that video. It's a remake from a 90s film with the same title about a group of medical students performing an experiment to see what happens when you die, so they flatline. It's a pretty cool idea, but it gets kind of old as the film goes on. Have I said to check out that video enough? You should check out that video. I kind of just feel like the back half of this video is me telling you to go check out other videos on my channel I've done, but I've covered The Gentleman a couple times now, including an out of 10 video review, and it's also on my best of 2020 list video. I guess it's a video, not a list. Well, I guess it's a list too. It's a good return to form Guy Ritchie gangster film that's a lot of fun with a great cast. As for special features, we get a best of quibs, glossary of cannabis, and a behind the scenes and photo gallery. It's pretty good. 1917 is yet another film I've covered on my channel before with an out of 10, so you should check that out. It's pretty good, so when I saw it for $5.99, I jumped on it. The idea of having this film play out in real time is fun and adds some tension, but it's not done incredibly well. There are some clear cuts, and then there's the hard cut in the film, which was really jarring and kind of lame, but there are some great performances and scenes here and there, and for the most part, the cinematography is pretty good. The Blu-ray comes with a featurette with Sam Mendes and a making of the score, which it does have a pretty good score. I would definitely recommend this film for sure. I grabbed Rocketman, no, not the 1997 classic, but the new 2019 Elton John biopic. This is a movie I've been curious about for a little while, but definitely wanted to wait for a price drop, and when I saw it for $7.99 at Walmart, I decided to jump on it, and it was pretty okay. Honestly, this isn't what I was expecting from the biopic. It's a musical with both fantasy and biographical elements, and it's a movie I could see people absolutely loving, but for me, it just wasn't for me. It's a well put together film with a great performance by Taron Egerton. The Blu-ray does come with extended musical scenes, 10 deleted and extended scenes, a sing-along, and a booklet with a message from Elton John. This is one, like I said, I could see a lot of people loving, so I would definitely recommend it if you're interested. I grabbed Split for autumn when I saw it at Walmart for a good price. This is the centerpiece to Shyamalan Ding Dong superhero trilogy, and it was kind of a return for Shyamalan. It's a pretty great film about a man with split personalities and the struggle within himself while these kidnapped girls tried to figure out a way to escape from him. James McAvoy gives maybe one of his best performances here. Autumn really loves this movie, so it's about time that I finally got around to grabbing it. The Blu-ray does come with an alternate ending and deleted scenes, a making of, a breakdown of the personalities, and a featurette about Shyamalan himself, and it's pretty good. Antebellum is another film I've covered in a couple videos, so I'll keep this short here, but I really love this one. It's gotten some mixed reviews, and I can see why, but this is one I went into blind and really loved it. I remember hearing about this film, but I knew nothing about it. I didn't hear about any review scores, so when I saw it on a shelf and I read the back of it, I decided to just go ahead and grab it. If you want to hear more of my thoughts on this one, then check out my out of 10 review or the best of 2020 video. As for special features, the Blu-ray does come with a 2-part deconstruction of Antebellum, a featurette on the clues of Antebellum, deleted scenes, theatrical trailers, and something called Opening Antebellum. This is one I'd say go into with an open mind, and I'd highly recommend it. I started reading the Tokyo Ghoul manga back when it was first starting and kept up with it for a while, but never finished it. I would like to return to it, but I always really liked the story. I've never seen the anime, but when I saw the live action feature at Walmart for $12, I decided to grab it and give it a shot, and honestly, this is one of the better adaptations for sure. The CGI is a little inconsistent, but when it's done in lower light, it looks great. As for the story, it focuses on more of the first couple chapters rather than trying to cram the full story into just one movie, and I really liked that move because it gave a lot of time to develop characters. The story is basically about there being ghouls in Tokyo, and these ghouls eat people as their food. A young boy is attacked and transformed into a ghoul, and now he must adapt. I was pleasantly surprised by this one because most of the time when you get an anime or manga adaptation into a film, it's pretty bad most of the time. For special features, you get a cast and crew featurette from the Anime Expo 2017, original Japanese trailer, and other trailers. If you're a fan of Tokyo Ghoul, maybe just try checking this one out. As for adaptations, it's definitely not the worst. And the last thing for the November update is Midnight Evil, or also known as Midnight Devils, depending on where you look. This was a blind buy that Autumn grabbed. She doesn't do that very often, so so hopefully she'll do it more often, but this is not a very good one. I hope it doesn't deter her from blind buying. The film is about a group of robbers getting stuck in a trailer when an evil monster shows up, and the entire film is pretty much inside the trailer. I did find out that one of the directors, Abel Berry, has his own YouTube channel where he talks about filmmaking and does some video essays, so I'll link the channel down below if you're interested. He does have some interesting videos on there. Michael Berryman also shows up for a couple minutes, so that's kind of nice to see him again. My biggest praise would be the monster design. It's a really awesome looking costume until they unfortunately show the backside of it where it's pretty clear where the seams are. There's definitely some charm to this movie, and I feel like they really did try to work with their budget, but there's a ton of bad acting, cinematography, and for some reason it changes aspect ratios a couple times. Anyway though, that's been my November update. December should be coming soon, as well as some more Slash Attack videos and weird movies, so keep an eye out for that. Thanks for watching. Peace.